want to address the protesters for a moment, if I could. I think they were chanting, build the rail. It's been 17 years and $16 billion, and no rail has been built. So if you want to go protest somewhere, if you want to shout at someone, go to the governor's mansion. Go talk to Democrats in the legislature who have brought us this crappy project, right? So we've seen over the course of the last month what DOGE has exposed.
All right, I got a serious question for everybody. Where is Gavin Newsom right now? Like, where is he? Because I don't know if I'm the only one who has noticed this, but we are a month into Trump's presidency, and Gavin Newsom was, at least I was told, supposed to be the 2028 Democrat frontrunner. Maybe up until 2 seconds ago, because I'm not sure his political career is looking so bright at the moment. But nonetheless, where is Gavin Newsom? This is a serious question, because you just had the wildfires strike his state. In the beginning, he was trying to clout chase and get attention off of it. And now, after understanding that it just makes him look really bad, apparently he has gone into hiding. But notice that for several weeks, we've not seen this guy. We've not heard from this guy. He's not doing speeches. He's not doing interviews. You would think right now would be the prime opportunity for him to basically be the anti-DeSantis, right? He's going to stand up to Donald Trump. He's going to be the icon of statewide opposition to Trump's Project 2025, as we are told. You know, it's very interesting. As Trump deports illegal aliens, I mean, California has more illegal aliens probably than any other state in this country. So why isn't Gavin Newsom out there running around doing the media tour, making a big public stand about this? No, instead, Gavin Newsom's gone into hiding, right? He's not done speeches, interviews, or really any major public appearances in several weeks here. He is basically employing the strategy of sleepy Joe Biden and in some ways Kamala Harris, even though, you know, clearly that didn't end so well for them. So what exactly is going on? Well, we're going to tell you all about that in today's video, and I think it has a connection to a number of things. First and foremost, Gavin Newsom understands, as I said earlier, that this is a losing issue for him. He's been disgraced, and I think he's just hiding in fear and panic. Like, he just doesn't want to be seen. Like, don't talk to me, right? Hoping it'll all boil over. His unpopularity will go away in a couple of years. People will just remember him as the slick, smooth-talking guy that he used to be. Because keep that in mind, right? This is the same California governor who was doing the debate with DeSantis. He was the first Democrat to make a Truth Social account because he was going to stand up to Trump. And again, now the guy's just hiding in the basement. Like, what is going on here? So that's number one. I think secondly, he understands he's trying to get a bailout from the federal government for these wildfires, and he's hoping that I can't be too mean to Trump because, if not, he might withhold my money. But thirdly here, it could have something to do with the fact that the Trump administration, as we speak, is investigating some of the corruption that's happening in California, specifically in regards to infrastructure and this infamous high-speed rail project. So we're going to tell you all about it, guys. But first, do us a big favor. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. You subscribing is the best way to support our work and continue to, laugh at Gavin Newsom here and call out his utter and total incompetence. So with that said, let's get into this. And I first of all want to point out that while Gavin Newsom has basically been hiding, he has been tweeting, which is very interesting. You know, they always say Trump is not a real president. He doesn't do anything. He just tweets all night. Well, this is all Gavin Newsom's been doing because I haven't seen the guy. What's he been doing? What's he been up to, Gavin? Hey, buddy, what's up, right? But he is going out here apparently, guys, and demanding a $40 billion bailout from Congress for these wildfires. Now, you might say that sounds about right, or it's too much, or whatever, but I would like to point out, as many have, it was exposed a few days ago. Okay, they want $40 billion from the federal government. They basically want the Trump administration to rebuild everything after Gavin Newsom spectacularly failed in having the state prepared for a very common natural disaster that happens to those people. Nonetheless, okay, he's demanding this money while it was exposed this week that apparently, as we speak right now, California is spending close to $10 billion on free healthcare for illegal immigrants. And if you don't believe me, take a listen to that proof for yourself.
Is with the California Department of Finance. So In the current year, to cover undocumented individuals in Medi-Cal, we're spending $9.5 billion total funds.
So it's not the $6 billion that people continue to talk about in the media. It's $9.5 billion.
Was a Budget Act number. This is a revised number based on the governor's budget updated estimates. So of the $9.5 billion, $8.4 billion is general fund.
You see exactly why I've been saying since the beginning that so-called unconditional aid, an unconditional bailout for California is an awful idea. Because yes, California is part of America. They pay federal taxes. We should help them, obviously. But number one, I mean, you have to promise us that we're not going to have to keep bailing you out because you're actually going to manage the water resources, the brush, the forests, the fire department resources, et cetera, within your state. You know, you don't just keep letting these things happen and then say, oh, please give us free money. It's like, you know, fool me once, right? Fool me twice, fool me 3 times, fool me 4 times. What does that say about the federal government? What does that say about taxpayers outside the state of California, right? That's number one. But number two here. Okay. $40 billion is a lot of money, obviously. But you are a state, as we currently speak, spending $10 billion on free healthcare for illegals. You know, it seems to me like that's about $10 billion you can write off the federal bill by just putting that type of money to rebuilding your freaking state instead of helping out illegals to begin with. Okay. So, but anyways, like that's all that Gavin Newsom is doing. And besides that, basically just hiding in the basement right now. But with that said, okay, just so we understand the current political situation, that's where we now get into today's main story, which is that, you know, something the Trump administration is bringing up is, well, look, we want to help you, but you're a very corrupt state. Okay, there's a lot of issues within your internal politics. Number one, I think something very obvious there might be the $10 billion that you're spending on free healthcare for illegals. But it gets a lot worse than that because we got to talk today once again about the California high-speed rail, right? This project to build a light rail basically between LA and San Francisco and we did a video on this before actually, so feel free to go back and watch that, but I'll do a brief recap for you here. That is billions of dollars over budget. It has not been built. Okay, it's barely done. It's like several years past its supposed end construction date. It's way over budget. It's totally incompetent. And something that Trump said a couple weeks ago here was that he wants to investigate the corruption, waste, abuse, and fraud that is obviously happening within California's high-speed rail project. Take a listen for yourself.
One of the things I want to investigate rapidly, because I've never seen anything to this extent. The train that's being built between Los Angeles and San Francisco is the worst managed project I think I've ever seen, and I've seen some of the worst. Billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars over budget. In fact, I read where you could take every single person that was going to go on the train and get the finest limousine service in the world and take them back and forth with limousines, and you'd have hundreds of billions of dollars left over. It is the worst thing, and we're going to start an investigation of that because it's not possible. I built for a living, and I built on time, on budget. It's impossible that something could cost that much. And now it's not even going to San Francisco, and it's not going to Los Angeles. They made it much shorter. So now it's at little places way away from San Francisco and way away from Los Angeles. No, we're going to start a big investigation on that because I've never seen anything like it. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. The worst overruns that there have ever been in the history of our country.
Now, this high-speed rail is actually an issue I'm personally sort of passionate about because I grew up in California, and I specifically remember when this was supposed to happen and it just never got done, and it was widely mocked. And I don't know, maybe that was a nexus point where I started to develop my politics. I don't really remember it that way, but in retrospect, it's like, well, that was a little bit of realization, right? Because here's the details, some more of them, on this high-speed rail that is obviously highly corrupt and just a complete and total mess. So here's the context, first of all. This train to LA and San Francisco that doesn't exist, it just doesn't exist, it's probably never going to exist, it's nowhere close to done, was decided on by a ballot proposition that California voters voted for, right? They voted to build this in 2008, okay? Now, for context, in 2008, as you see me right here, I was in kindergarten. I'm not even making that up. I'm in kindergarten when the ballot proposition to build this train was, passed. The construction for this train officially began when I was in middle school. Okay? I am now a grown adult, and we still have no train basically built. This is infamously known as the high-speed train to nowhere. Now, this initial ballot proposition allocated close to $10 billion to build the train. And that's all that they thought they needed at the time. That was the estimate, right? They need $10 billion. They can get this done. We're going to have a functioning train from LA to San Francisco that was supposed to be done by the year 2020. And the year 2020 came and went, nowhere even close to having a high-speed rail. In fact, it's been widely mocked because you have like pieces of railroad just built and they don't connect to anything. And the only train they've managed to build is in like Bakersfield, right? The Central Valley, the place where not a lot of people even live in California. That's all that they've done. It's a mess, right? And the budget is now like in the $100 billion range. Okay, kid you not. The initial budget was $10 billion. How on earth you end up $100 billion over budget, like quite literally, and you have nothing to show, nothing even close to show for it? It is insane. It is like literally, that's why I'm so passionate about this. Probably like one of the biggest corruption scandals, it should be at least, in modern American history. And yet the attitude we have towards the, how used we get to a corrupt and inefficient government, we just hear that and we're like, yeah, that's normal. Yeah, it's just government for you. No. Hearing something like that should be completely and totally egregious, right? And I want to keep in mind, it's not like it's an impossible thing to build. I mean, here in Florida, they built the Bright Line train. It only took them a couple years. It's done now. I mean, parts of it, at least, it's functioning, right? California has nothing to show for it. And so what Trump said a couple weeks ago is, yeah, we're going to be investigating this. Now, believe it or not, promises made, promises kept, at least by one politician in this country, because clearly not the politicians of California. The Trump administration is now following through on that threat to investigate California and the leadership of Gavin Newsom, including the governor, Jerry Brown, before him, over what the heck happened here. But I do want to point out really quickly, before we get into that right before the wildfires broke out, you had Gavin Newsom, challenging Trump to come and see for yourself what we've done, which is hilarious because, Gavin, you've literally done nothing. But nonetheless, back when he was a relevant political force that was not hiding in the basement, he challenged Trump to come and see it for himself, which update, the Trump administration through Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, is now coming to see it for themselves. And it's not looking good for Gavin. But nonetheless, here's what he had to say.
And you mentioned high-speed rail a few times today. We're expecting legislation that would cut funding to the project. Can you share why?
Who's doing that? Oh, Trump, maybe, yeah. Oh, that's golden oldie, yeah. No, I love that question, and I want to answer that at the right location. I want to encourage you. I don't mean to, I don't, unless you may be busy today, but come on down and join us. I've got a whole presentation. We got an exciting group of people. We have some new things to announce. Not that I don't want to overstate it, but I thought it was important in the spirit of accountability and transparency to update people on where we are. And then we could talk a little bit more what we anticipate, which are golden oldies, frankly, just big yawns from Trump administration.
A big yawn. I mean, is that what the workers are doing? Because the workers that are supposed to be building this, the contractors don't seem to be doing anything, right? So, update here. The Trump administration has followed through on Gavin Newsom's request, okay? They came today to start their investigation of the high-speed rail. And newsflash, big surprise here, guys. Gavin Newsom is nowhere to be found, okay? Because he's just hiding in disgrace. He's in the basement. He's crying at the winery, in Northern California. French Laundry, maybe he's there. I don't know where he is, but he's not here. Okay. And today, again, Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy showed up to actually start the investigation here of Gavin Newsom's failed high-speed rail project. Now, what's very interesting is that although Gavin Newsom did not show up, he did send his cronies, because I kid you not, you had protesters, liberal protesters, anti-Trump protesters today at this event screaming and yelling and shouting down the Trump administration, threatening to actually hold the people accountable who we're building this light rail. And listen for yourself, because I want you to hear the great irony in this. They're not mad at Gavin Newsom for failing to build the rail, but they're mad apparently at the Trump administration for demanding accountability in why haven't you built the rail. Check it out for yourself.
I want to address the protesters for a moment, if I could. I think they were chanting, build the rail. It's been 17 years and $16 billion. And no rail has been built. So if you want to go protest somewhere, if you want to shout at someone, go to the governor's mansion. Go talk to Democrats in the legislature who have brought us this crappy project, right? So we've seen over the course of the last month what DOGE has exposed with regard to fraud, waste, and abuse. And we're done with it. And you know what? You're going to have people who love fraud, who love waste, who love trains to nowhere. But all of us up here, we do not love fraud, waste, and abuse. We are going to use the taxpayer money efficiently and effectively, and this is a boondoggle.
You just see the great irony in that, obviously. I hope you do. These protesters are out there chanting, build the rail, build the rail. Okay, you're right. Maybe we should build the... I mean, at this point, honestly, I think you should just give up on it. But nonetheless, it's sunk costs, right? Sunk cost fallacy. But nonetheless, okay, if you want to build the rail, shouldn't you be protesting outside of Gavin Newsom's office? Wouldn't that make sense? That's just how brain dead and just strange, I guess, the Democrats that overwhelmingly make up the population of California are about this. It's just insanity. It's like literally like slave mentality. I don't understand it. That you have a government ran by the party you support that has spent 2 decades failing to build this rail. The moment Trump shows up and says, where's the rail? You know, Sean Duffy's like, where's the rail? We're going to look into it. They're so mad. They're like, how dare you get in the way of us building the rail? I don't know. Why don't you ask your politicians that, right? I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's just so frustrating. Like it's like talking to a brick wall with these people. Do they even hear themselves? Do they even understand what they're doing? Ideally not. But let's listen to some more, because here you have Kevin Kiley, who I believe is a state representative out of California. He's a Republican. And listen here as he goes in to talk some more about the failures of the California Democrats when it comes to this rail that they're now freaking out that we no longer, that we are actually holding accountable instead of them just not even building it. Okay, take a listen.
This ill-fated project is a blight on our landscape and an embarrassment to our state. But it's more than that. It symbolizes the decline of modern California under the current leadership. It showcases political ineptitude on an epic scale. This doomed project represents the failure of planning and governance, of vision and leadership, of transparency and accountability, of competence and common sense, that have turned the greatest state in the country into the most popular state to leave. It exemplifies the utter disregard for taxpayer dollars, for property rights, for economic reality, for democratic accountability that have caused our beautiful state to now lead the nation in all the wrong ways. And it captures the small-mindedness of our political leaders who think of themselves as visionaries for plowing ahead with a 20th century project that won't be finished until the 22nd century at best. Yes, the failure of high-speed rail represents all that has gone wrong in California. And that is precisely why this is a very hopeful day. Once we end this project, it'll be a new beginning for California. We are turning the page in this state. A coalition for common sense is ascendant. And President Trump has said there can be no golden age without the golden state. And today we're taking a major step forward towards a golden revival for all Californians. So thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, for your attention to California.
Yeah, again, just I don't understand it. The irony of this, if you're chanting build the rail, you should be chanting it at Gavin Newsom, okay? You know, don't get mad at us. Don't shoot the messenger here for pointing out you are unable to build this rail, okay? And if you supposedly are, like, hey, you know, just hold on, we're about to finish it. Oh, really? Oh, really? It's nowhere close to done, okay? They're literally estimating they're going to need at least $100 billion extra to build it from San Francisco to LA. So I don't know why you guys are even so passionate about this rail. Like, I don't know what it's supposed to really do. You know, California is a state that relies on driving cars anyway, but they're just so passionate about this. You know, they're definitely not just shills for the Democrat Party. They're definitely not just like professional activists. No, they really care about this high-speed rail. But again, in that case, okay, maybe you love trains. I don't know. You know, you're one of those kids that really likes the trains. Okay. Then go chant at Gavin Newsom. Why are you chanting at us? What did we do? You know, it's just ridiculous. But nonetheless, guys, I mean, there you have it. Just another day in California. Unbelievable. I just can't imagine why people are leaving the state. I can't imagine why their own politics are just cannibalizing themselves. I mean, if you ask me the truth, I think we should stop the rail, right? But it's not our fault that it's being stopped because it was never gonna be finished to begin with. As Kevin Kiley brings up there, it's not going to be done by the 22nd century, right? So why just again, sunk cost fallacy. Why don't you just give up at this point? Okay, it's not going to get done. Let's just accept that. And if you want to build it, then take California out of it. Have like, I don't know, Doge handle it or something. And have a private contract with a brand new company or something. But honestly, overall, it's just ridiculous. There's not really a gigantic economic need for it. Like, it's not going to fundamentally transform the state. Again, you want to revive the economy, maybe change your policy so that people stop leaving the state. Like, that'd be much more of an economic boost to California than a high-speed rail that, frankly, not a lot of people are going to use. Okay, because what do you even need that for? You know, oh, I have my daily commute from LA to San Francisco. I need to take the train. Like, no, that's not how it works, right? It's maybe some tourists will take it, but again, there's not really like a serious need for it. Just cut the damn thing. But, you know, again, you want to build the rail, chant that at Gavin Newsom. All right, with that said, though, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace. Unbelievable.